Welcome back to Financial Markets Live. I'm Cynthia Nyamai. Early on, we had a story on property, the Hass Property Index, and in studio, I'm joined by the spokesman, Jenny Luesby. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Just give us a brief and tell us about the property index.
Okay, we are doing two property indexes.
Yes.
We're looking at properties that have actually been sold and the prices that the agreements are struck at. So we're doing it at sales prices. And then we're also doing another index, much fuller, which is looking at asking prices, how much sellers are asking for the properties that they're selling. So we have the two indexes, one for asking prices and one for the actual closure prices on sales.
Yes, and looking at Nairobi when it comes to prices, I did have a look at the report, and it said that last year, for example, for the first half, prices did go down a little bit, especially when it comes to rent. Tell us a little bit more about the rent, what happened now after the first half of the year, and if prices are likely to be stable this year.
Okay, we do a third index which also covers lettings prices, which is the rents.
Yes.
And we've just announced that for the first time today. And what we see from that is that rents have been very flat over the last 2 years. There's been a little movement up and a little movement down, and the rents were falling last year. But overall, in the last 3 years, the rents have not actually moved at all from the beginning of that period to the end.
Yes, which is likely because of the slow growth in our economy.
Yeah, it's partly a factor of the slow growth, but we've also been having two other factors. We've been having a lot of new rental properties coming to the market. This rental index looks at the middle and upper income housing.
Yes.
So we have a lot of new apartments coming to the market. So we've had very strong supply coming in. We've had a quite depressed economy. Yeah, those are probably the two main factors in keeping the rents down.
Yes, and after that, rent did go up slightly, and I'm wondering this year, how is it going to be? Are we likely to see, especially now with a lot of analysts saying that our economy is likely to grow stronger, are we likely to see those prices going up?
There is going to be upwards pressure on rents, because what's happened for the landlords and the owners of the properties is that the prices of those properties have almost doubled over that same period, whereas the rentals have stayed nearly flat. So for people who are owning properties and renting them out, the return that they're getting on their investment is now much, much lower. So they're going to be very keen to be pushing the rents up as soon as they can.
Yes.
And there will almost certainly be some risings in rents.
Yes.
However, at the same time, we still have a lot of new rental property coming to the market, and the mortgage market has opened, and we're seeing middle-income Kenyans start to move into buying their own properties.
Yes.
So there's going to be upward pressure on rents from the landlords, but how much increase that really delivers, what we're suggesting is that the rent rises may not be that great.
Yes, yes. And the reason why I was asking rent is because the majority of people living in Nairobi pay rent. But now let's look at those looking into mortgage and looking into buying property. How did property prices rank last year, and what do you think is likely to happen this year? Okay.
The picture actually is quite similar in property prices. They had gone up very fast through 2008 and just into 09, but in 2009 they were quite flat and they fell. They even fell, not by a lot, but by 2% in one quarter and 1%. What we've actually seen now in this first quarter is the first hint of a recovery. We've seen the prices tip up a little in the first quarter in closing prices, which pretty much takes us back to prices at the beginning of last year.
Yes.
But the other thing that we have seen is quite a sharp rise in asking prices. These have gone up by more than 7%.
Wow.
And what we're warning today is that there may be a little bit of optimism in there from sellers.
Yes.
We're not sure, the activity is still quite slow in the housing market in buying and selling. So we're warning that while people are asking for these higher prices, the activity isn't yet enough, probably, to support rises of that level. Yes.
So what would be your advice for someone who's looking out to buy property at this moment?
Okay, they won't get big price falls or bargains, but they really should see pricing that is pretty much the same as last year. We have to correct our expectations on this. They may pay a little more in a good location, but if they're being asked for a lot more, they should understand what the reason is, because generally the prices are not rising steeply at the moment.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jenny, for joining us today.
Okay, thank you.